Right. Let's see where we are. Jaiva dharma. Okay. So we're going to chant. First, we're going to chant what's called Vaishnava Vyapti, which is prayers to the Vaishnavas by Narottam Das Thakur. Hey Baroka Nakoro Vaishnava Gosai. Hey Baroka Nakoro Vaishnava Gosai. Pachita Bhavana Toma Vinake Pachita Bhavana Toma Vinake Unai. Chane Katakele Papadure Jahara Pika Tegele Mapadure Hey Mona Jaya Prabhu Kipaku Japai. Hey Mona Jaya Prabhu Kipaku Japai. Gangara Parasha Hoile Masjate Pavan. Gangara Parasha Hoile Masjate Pavan. Dashane Baputra Goro Itoma Rakan. Dashane Baputra Goro Itoma Rakan. Hadistane Abode Yare Yare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Vidakacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace by Acharya Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakti Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kund Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuram Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Srimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Sambhita Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Om. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees, all glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda, Hari 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 Bol. So, with that in mind, Om Gana, Namaha Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharani Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatcha Deja Tarni. So with that in mind, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, we are going to continue with the Jaiva Dharma reading. And we're in a very interesting discussion and story here. So, without further ado, Om Gana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shlakya Chakshurun Meditam Yena Tasmai Shi Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Actually, I forgot to read the translation of this Vaishnava poem, which I'm going to do right now. O Vaishnava Goswami, please be merciful to me. Now, there is no one except you who can purify the fallen souls. Where does anyone find such a merciful personality by whose audience all sins go far away? One becomes purified after bathing in the waters of the sacred Ganges many times. Just the sight of you purifies the fallen souls. This is your great power. The holy name delivers one who is offended, Lord Hari, but if one offends you, there is no means of deliverance. Your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda, and Lord Govinda says, the Vaishnavas are in my heart. I desire the dust of your holy feet in every birth I may take. Please consider Narottama yours and be kind upon him. Okay, so let us go to the Jaiva Dharma. So, Jaiva Dharma. Here we go. And let me just set this up. Alright. Okay. There we go. Okay. So let's backtrack a little bit. There's a question by Brajanath here. Brajanath is having this discussion with the Babaji. Brajanath said, if a person after suffering in the material world understands that to remove suffering caused by ignorance, avidya, which is surrender to the feet of the Lord, does he obtain bhakti? Question. Babaji said, afflicted by the pain of Maya can understand the explanation that the home of the world is improper, and understands that this only shelters under the Lord's feet on pure devotees situated near the Lord, and runs to the Lord's feet with full attention, he receives the shelter of the feet of the devotees, who take shelter of the Lord's feet. Accepting the devotee's feet is the main sukriti to give bhakti. Wow. Accepting devotees' feet is the main sukriti. That means spiritual, in this particular context, pious activity. Sukriti. Sukriti means good action. That's the definite definition of this word. Su means good or auspicious. Kriti means action. Sukriti. Not sukriti. Sukriti. To give bhakti. By that, he attains the feet of the Lord. If a person first attains detachment by vairagya and discrimination, that produces bhakti secondarily. There is no chief way of attaining by words. To the devotees. And that's, of course, that verse that I oftentimes quote, spoken by Jadabharta, Huganaita Tapasana Yati Nachijana Grihadva Nachandasa Dayava Jalagni Surya Mahatpada Krishna by our stories like in the middle of the summer. It's pretty hot here, I guarantee. Nor by putting yourself in ice in the middle of the winter, nor by becoming a sannyasa, nor by rasta or life, nor by following this rule of regulation or that regulation, because without the dust of the lotus feet of the devotee, it's impossible. You will not become a devotee. You may be a pseudo-devotee, maybe a karma yogi, jnana yogis, whatever, but not a bhakti yogi. And without bhakti, mam abhijananti yavas, yavanyas chasmi tatvata. Only by bhakti can Krishna be known. So Brajanath said, though they produce bhakti secondarily, is there any objection to calling karma, jnana, vairagya, and discrimination sukriti, which give bhakti? Can you say that they are predecessors or they lead to bhakti? Babaji said there is a particular objection to this. These methods generally keep the jivas bound up to intermediate results. Intermediate means before you get to bhakti, because you become attached to the results. Okay, here. We're going to hear about this in a second. Karmas give the jivas results of bhukti and then disappears. So bhukti is, for those of you who don't know, it's sense grad. In other words, go to the heavenly planets. Temporary. Vairagya and discrimination generally lead the jiva to impersonal brahmagyan, that means knowledge of the impersonal Brahmajyoti, and leave him there. This brahmagyan cheats the jiva of the Lord's lotus feet. Thus, if one has faith in these processes, one cannot call them sukriti that give bhakti. In some cases, they do lead to bhakti, but this is not the normal case. Only in the case, obviously, if this leads to association with devotees. The devotees come and see some big sense gratifier and preach to you, distribute books to you, and you take a full set of Srila Prabhupada's books, then you get bhakti. Association with pure devotees is not an intermediate result. It enables one to attain prema. Bhagavatam says, this is Lord Kapila Dev speaking, Satam prasangan mama virya samvito bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata tajoshinadashva pavarga vartmani shradaratiravatir anukramishyate. From association with the best devotees, topics of my glorious pastimes become directly realized, bringing the devotee to nishta. What does the platform nishta mean? Steadiness. One becomes steady, stable. One is not riding a roller coaster up and down. How do you feel today, Prabhu? Ecstatic. How do you feel today? I'm in Maya today. So nishta means I'm always ecstatic. I'm always serving Krishna. Before nishta, anishta means I don't feel like chanting today. Then the topics become an elixir. Elixir means like a medicine. Tasty, wonderful. For the heart and ears at the stage of ruchi. Ruchi means a taste. You really get a taste. My taste for these topics, asakti, means complete attachment to Krishna, bhava, emotion, and then prema, pure love, for the Lord, who is the destroyer of material life, quickly develop in sequence. That's from the Bhagavatam 3:25-25, which is part of the teachings of Lord Kapila to his mother, Devahuti. So, Satam prasangan mama virya samvado. When one associates with devotees, prasangan means good or a lot of association with devotees. Brajanath said association with devotee is that with a devotee is the only sakriti which gives bhakti. Some editing mistakes in this book. One hears topics of the Lord from a devotee's mouth and then attains bhakti. Is this the sequence of events? Yes. Babaji said, I will tell you the sequence. Please listen. Wandering in samsara, repeated birth and death, the material energy, the jiva by chance performs sakriti that give bhakti. By accident, a human jiva performs one action out of the many angas of pure bhakti. The anga means limbs or aspects of pure bhakti or processes of pure bhakti. This is a sukriti. He may accidentally fast on Ekadasi. He may see or touch a place of the Lord's pastimes. He may assist pure devotees, thinking of them as normal guests. He may hear songs or discussions about the name of the Lord from the mouth of pure devotees. That's what happened with me. Listening to the radio, minding my own rascal business. And all of a sudden, I heard Prabhupada chanting. Oh, that was it. Sakriti, Haribo. If desires for bhakti or mukti accompany such acts, they do not become sakritis which give bhakti to those persons. So in other words, if you want sense grad, I'm worshiping Krishna or his devotees because I want more money or want more opulence or want a better wife or whatever. Or I want liberation, that's mukti, which we see outlined here. Then it doesn't give you bhakti. If a person ignorant of tattva means the difference between the Lord and us, and the Lord in the material energy, performs these acts devoid of desires for bhakti or mukti by accident, or because of the local custom, those actions are sakritis which give bhakti. So in other words, even if you just do something that you're not asking for sense grad or liberation, you just do something because of the local custom. You know, in our temple we chant Hare Krishna. It's our local custom. Piling up for many births, these sakritis attain strength and faith in pure bhakti, and faith and pure bhakti manifests. So sometimes it takes many, many births. Bhavanam Chanmanam Ante Yanavamam Papajate Vasudeva Sarvapati Mahatma Sudrilabha. Or it can occur in a very short period of time. That is the advantage of connecting with Srila Prabhupada. Because then you get a shortcut. You get it in a very short period of time. When faith and pure bhakti appears, the desire to associate with pure devotees arises. When the person associates with devotees, sadhana and bhajan gradually develop. Sadhana means the practice of devotional service. Bhajan means the worship and the glorification of the Lord. And bhajan can be sadhana-based, it can be bhava-based, emotional-based, it can be raganuga-based, spontaneously based, it can be prema-based. By doing bhajan, all the anarthas disappear. Bhajan means glorifying the Lord. Sankirtana. When anarthas, now here's this word, anartha. Anartha means things you don't want. Like lust, anger, greed, illusion, envy, fear. So, of course, in this world, everyone wants lust. They love anger. They love to be an illusion. That's why they go on the internet so much. They love to be envious. They love fear. Anyway, they love all those things. So, for those who are not Krishna conscious, anarthas, things we call anarthas, are arthas for them, things they want. Anyway, what's nighttime for the self-realized soul is daytime for the materialistic personalities, and vice versa, according to the Gita. When anarthas disappear, the previous faith becomes pure and matures as nishta. In other words, nishta again, just to define it, which we did previously, is steadiness in Krishna consciousness. Every day, through terrible wind, rain, scorching heat, disease. I was just reading one book by one of my godbrothers about visits to the holy places. And he was describing some of the brahmanas that are serving the deities in these holy places. And he said, they have difficulty climbing the steps. They just do it every day. They're 85, 90 years old. Because they're steady, nishta. Through terrible wind, rain, hail, sleet. Of course, probably no snow in India. Sleet, probably no snow, yeah. That nishta becoming pure becomes ruchi. In other words, when you become so steady, that's dedication. The proof of your love is dedication through thick and thin, happiness and distress. Even at marriages, at least in the Western world, not necessarily what they say in Indian marriages, where they play Bollywood music. So even the marriages in the Western world, they say through happiness and distress and whatever. It's like the Bhagavad Gita. You remain faithful. This word, that's actually another definition of nishta, which means faithfulness. Faithful. That's interesting. That nishta becoming pure becomes ruchi. Ruchi means a taste. You get a real taste for the process of devotional service, particularly hearing, chanting, remembering. When ruchi increases with the beauty of bhakti, it matures as a sakti. That means complete attachment to Krishna, to the exclusion of all mundane things. When the sakti becomes full, it becomes rati, or bhava, emotions, and ecstasy. Rati becomes ras by combination with other factors. Ras means a taste. You get a specific taste, not only a taste. You have a taste when you have ruchi, but it becomes much more specific when we talk about ras. Like you have one of the 5 basic rasas, and you have a mixture with some of the secondary rasas, basic rasas, Shanta, Dasha, Sakya, Vatsaya, Madhurya, the neutral relationship, the servitude relationship, the friendship relationship, the parental relationship, or the conjugal relationship. This is the only sequence for manifesting prema. Listen to this. This is the only sequence for manifesting prema. You want prema? Ain't no other way, Prabhu or Prabhi. The basic principle is that by the sukriti of seeing pure devotees, a tendency to follow pure devotees develops. This will happen with me in Prabhupada. The conclusion is that the first association is accidental. Later faith arises, and then again association takes place. Now, he's saying accidental. That's to external vision, it is accidental. But also, there's another factor. The Lord is in the heart. God is in your heart. And He, when you are ready, He guides you and guides the pure devotee to come in contact with each other. The result of first association is faith, ados shraddha. The other name of faith is surrender or sharanapati. Contact with the Lord's dear land, His festivals, objects, and devotees are the first association. But the most potent is devotees. As a result of this first association, faith in the form of sharanapati appears. Its quality is described in the final verse of the Gita. It's not actually the final verse, but it's like the nutshell final verse. Sarvadaman pudityaja mamikam sharanam brajaham tvam sarvapapibhyo mokshayashyami masrucha. Give up all dharmas. You know, what you think is right, what you think is wrong, just surrender unto me alone. I will deliver you from all sins. Do not worry. Bhagavad Gita 18:66. And there's a few verses after that in the Bhagavad Gita. The phrase Sarvadaman means smarta dharma. What is smarta dharma? It means like ritualistic religion. Ashtanga yoga, different postures. Sankhya, analysis of the material world. Jnana, desirous of liberation, which is self-centered. Vairagya, I'm very detached from this world, etc. By all these dharmas, one cannot attain the goal of Krishna. With this in mind, the instruction is given to give up all these dharmas. I, Krishna, having the form of condensed Satchidananda, that means eternity, bliss, and knowledge, performing pastimes in Braj, am the only goal of the jiva. Knowing this, being devoid of thoughts of enjoyment and liberation, surrender to me, having faith in the form of prapati. When this faith appears, the jiva, crying, decides to follow the Vaishnavas. He takes shelter of a devotee. That devotee is his guru. Wow. Jiva cries, please give me shelter, my dear Vaishnava. Oh, hey, Vaishnava Thakur. There are 4 types of anarthas. This is just the general categories, not the listing of anarthas, but types of anarthas. 1, not attaining one's swarup. In other words, you don't identify as who you actually are, which is craziness. Like if I identify as, let's say, the President of the United States, that's an anartha. I mean, from a material perspective, too. It's also insanity. Not attaining, in other words, we are insane. We're identifying as something that we're not. We're identifying as this body. We're identifying as, in terms of things related with this body. Okay. 2 is thirst for material objects. I want. I want. Offenses. That's easy. Offenses against devotees, offenses against the holy name, offenses against the deities, offenses against the holy dham, etc. And 4, weakness of heart. Weakness of heart means just like being a petunia. Not willing to grasp, to look at some goal and stay fixed on that goal. That's what weakness of the heart is. Just not thinking about it. Just like, oh, well, whatever happens, happens. If I do this, I smoke marijuana, I do this, so who cares? You're just not really caring. Forgetting that I am pure spiritual particle, servant of Krishna, the bound jiva falls far away from his swarup. Forgetting, there's that word, forgetting. Non-attainment of swarup is the first anartha, that's right. In other words, the first identification is I and mind. Thinking in this terms of I and mind for material objects, and then thirsting for happiness from material objects is called thirst for material objects. In other words, first of all, we identify ourselves as this body, or I am this, or so much should be mine. And then we start to want something as a result of that. And so material objects are three types. There's three types. Desire for sons. Desire, this is in a Vedic context, people desire sons. Desire for wealth, that means material goods, not just like good old American bucks, but, or whatever bucks there are in your country, but, something material. And desire for Swarga. I want to go to this. Swarga is the heavenly planets. It's something like going to Hawaii. Like some people, they just stay in Hawaii. I mean, if they're preaching, serving Krishna, that's wonderful in Hawaii. We have no objection, but they stay in Hawaii just trying to enjoy the heavenly atmosphere. That's Swarga. The 10 types of offenses I will describe later. Weakness of the heart gives rise to lamentation. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen, the blues. These 4 types of anarthas are the natural results for the jiva bound by ignorance. So you got to think of these things, we are subject to them. By purely cultivating a relationship with Krishna and devotee association, all these anarthas will disappear. With practice of pratyahara, yama, niyam, and 4 types of sadhana such as vairagya, etc., and yoga and other processes are not methods which are free from disturbance. So this is the Ashtanga Yoga system that's mentioned here. It's actually yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, jhana, and samadhi. Anyway, that's the Ashtanga Yoga system, which I'm not going to talk about. Which in the footnote it says this refers to the sadhana chatushtaya of Jnana Yoga. Okay. Jnana Yoga and also Ashtanga Yoga. There's worry of fall down, and thus it is very difficult to reach the final goal. Cultivating a relationship with Krishna and devotee association is a method without disturbance. As the anarthas disappear, the state of Maya disappears. To the extent that Maya disappears, the Jiva Swarup manifests. In other words, get rid of the anarthas, then Maya starts going bye-bye. When Maya, or illusion, disappears, we're able to see reality. I mean, that's obvious. When the sun comes up, the sun eliminates everything, just like light. And when the clouds are taken away, you can see the sky. Just like today, it was rainy in the morning, I couldn't see the sky, I couldn't see the sun. Clouds went away, I could see everything, the blue sky, it was beautiful. Prajananda said, can one say that a person free of anarthas is liberated? Babaji said, please consider this verse from the Bhagavatam. Rajobi samasankyata partivari hujantava tesham ye kichane hante shreyavai manujadaya. In this material world there are as many living entities as atoms. Among these living entities, a few are human beings or devatas, and among them a few practice dharma. Prayomi mukshavaste sham kechanaiva dvijottama Mukshunam sahasreshu kaschan mujeta siddhyate. O best of the Brahmanas, out of those follow Dharma, out of those who follow Dharma, again an editing mistake, only a few desire liberation. Among many thousands who desire liberation, one person becomes a jivan mukta, that means liberated soul. And out of many such persons, only one attains the spiritual world. 6:14.4 Bhagavatam. So I'm going to explain this when we finish with all these quotes. Muktanam api siranam narayana parayana saturlava pashantatma gotishvape mahamune. O great sage, greater than those who are jivan mukta and greater than those who attain liberation is the devotee of Lord Narayan. Such a devotee who is in Shanta and other rasas is very rare. Shanta means the peaceful relationship with Krishna, just worship in all reverence, is very rare, even among 10 million people. 6:14.5 Bhagavatam. The person free of anarthas is a pure devotee. In other words, the only way to become free from anarthas is to cultivate devotional service. It's obvious. Bhakti is very rare. Among millions of liberated persons, one finds one devotee of Krishna. Thus, there's nothing rare in this world than associating with a devotee of Krishna. And we know we have a devotee of Krishna, it's Prabhupada. Brajana said, does being a Vaishnava mean giving up household life? Because this is in relationship to Brajana's questions, whether he should get married or not. Babaji said, a pure devotee of Krishna is a Vaishnava. He may be a householder, or renunciate, a Brahman, or a Chandala, a wealthy man or a poor man. He's a Krishna devotee to the extent of his bhakti for Krishna. In other words, it doesn't matter. You can be a householder, brahmachari, sannyas, whatever. Man, woman, child. Even a cross between those. You have said, Brajana said, you have said that there are 5 types of jivas devoured by Maya. The sadhana bhakta and bhava bhakta were counted among those bound by Maya. At what stage is the devotee counted among the liberated? Babaji said the jiva is said to be liberated from Maya when he starts bhakti. But really, it's said, why is he said to be liberated from Maya when he's actually not liberated from Maya? Okay. It's just like when you plant a seed in the ground. It said that the tree is growing. But you got to start watering it. You got to give it some nutrition. But in one sense, yeah, you're starting. But real liberation, vastu gata mukti, takes place when sadhana becomes mature. That means nishta. Previous to that, nishta, steadiness. Previous to that, liberation is in terms of understanding his swarupa. Swarupa gata. In other words, your intellectual understanding. Real liberation from Maya occurs when the jiva is completely separated from his gross and subtle bodies. In other words, what is that? Sarva parivanir muktam tatpadatwena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti uchate. When you have no more conception that you are. Oops, sorry. I get too emotional here. You have no conception at all that you are this body or the mind. You may have a body or be driving a body, but you're no longer confused. Performing sadhana bhakti, finally bhava bhakti appears. Practice devotional service and practice, then you get emotional. Of course, spiritual emotions, not bhava rog. Bhava rog means material disease, and bhava means spiritual emotions. Becoming firmly fixed in bhava bhakti, rejecting the subtle body after rejecting the gross body, a person becomes situated in a spiritual body. In other words, not this mind, in addition to not being this body. All my different conceptions about myself, conceptions of everything, they're not me. Thus, at the time of sadhana bhakti, the state of Maya remains. In other words, when one is still practicing. At the beginning of Bhava Bhakti, that state is not completely removed. Considering these two stages, one must keep the person performing sadhana bhakti and bhava bhakti among 5 types of bound jivas. They're on the right path. In one sense, you could say they're liberated because they're on the path of liberation. But in another sense, they're not completely liberated. The materialists and the persons desiring liberation are necessarily counted among the 5 types. Among the liberated persons, those who have attained liberation reach perfection by means of bhakti. The offending jivas, that means people who commit offenses, are bound by Maya. Forgetting that one is a servant of Krishna is the root offense. Wow. If you think that you are not a servant of Krishna, you're a servant of something else, then that's your root offense. Wow. Of course, if one understands one is a servant of Krishna's devotee, that's things equal to the same thing or equal to each other. Offenses will not disappear except by the mercy of Krishna. Thus, liberation from Maya is not possible without Krishna's mercy. The jnanis have faith that they can attain liberation by just jnana. In other words, just figuring things out, analyzing things. This is faith without a basis. It's unreal. Liberation can never take place without Krishna's mercy. There are 2 verses spoken by the devatas, that means demigods, from the Bhagavatam concerning this. All right. Yene ravanjaksha vimuktamaninas tvayasta pavada avashuddha buddhi aruri krishena param padam tata patantyado nadradhat yushmadaya angraya. The lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees having impure intelligence because of not having devotion to you, think that they are liberated and become jiva and muktas after severe austerities and penances. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for the lotus feet of you and your devotees. 10th canto, 2nd chapter, text 32. In other words, even if someone reaches the Brahman, the light, and thinks they're merging or understands that they're spiritual, ultimately they come down because there's no engagement for them. They're still self-centered. Maybe not body-centered, maybe not mind-centered, but they're self-centered souls. Self-centered souls, of course. SS, not really SSS. SCS. Here's another nice verse. Tatana te madhavataraka kvatit avarashanti magatvahi parasaurida tvaya vigupta vicharanti nirvaya vinaya kani kappa murdasu prabhu. O Madhava, Supreme Lord, Lord of the Goddess of Fortune, if devotees completely in love with you sometimes fall from the path of devotion, they do not fall like non-devotees, for you still protect them. Thus they fearlessly traverse the heads of their opponents and continue to progress in devotional service. Bhagavatam 10:2-33. So even if devotees somehow falter on the path, let me say, fall down, bloop, whatever you're going to say, they never become vikarmis, karmis, jnanis, yogis. Again, they simply remain as devotees, but it's just a temporary slip. Like when one's learning to walk, one is going to slip. Like you see, every child is learning to walk. They slip and fall on their faces. Expected. We expect people to slip and fall on their faces, but we also expect them to pick themselves up. That's what you do with a kid. Get up again and try. And just like when you're learning to ride a bike, I remember learning to ride a bike many years ago. We had like training wheels on the bike. And then they took the training wheels off, and then sometimes we slipped. And we got back on. Mother told us, get back on, buddy. And we kept doing it, and we became better at it. Brajanath said, what are the types of liberated jivas? Babaji said there were 2 types of liberated jivas, Nitya Mukta and Bada Mukta. We heard this before, actually. This was spoken before here. Those jivas who are never bound by Maya are eternally liberated. They're called Nityabhukta. Or Nityabhukta. There are two types. Those having Aishvarya and those having Madhurya. So Aishvarya means worshipping the Lord in opulence. Oh God, you are so great. Madhurya means worshipping the Lord in intimacy, which generally the members of the Krishna conscious movement, followers of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, are in the mood of Madhurya. And also Audarya, which is not mentioned here. Audarya means mercy, compassion. So we have a combination, we're supposed to have a combination of Madhurya and Audarya. Not Aishvarya. Aishvarya means opulence. Like, dear Father art in heaven, give us this day our daily bread or whatever. So anyway, so we want to have intimate, close relationship with Krishna. We want to play with Krishna. We want to dance with Krishna. We want to roll on the ground with Krishna. We want to hold Krishna in our arms like that. Those eternally liberated Jews with Aishvarya, that means opulence, are associates in Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha are the planets in which the Lord is worshipped as God, spiritual planets. They are particles in the rays of the first Sankarshan. Sankarshan is Balaram, of course. The eternally liberated jivas with Madhurya are associates of the master of Goloka Vrindavan. They are particles in the rays of Baladev, situated there. So, Baladev and Sankarshan are the first. Same person, just manifests differently in different circumstances, and Baladev and Krishna are the same, Baladev and Sankarshan are the same, and Sankarshan and Krishna are the same. It's just Advaita Chuta Nadiranta Rupa Madhyam Purana Purcham Naviyavanam Cha. There's one God. He appears in various times, in various places, but he's the same person. The bound jivas who attain liberation, Bada Muktas, are three types. Those with Aishvarya, in other words, people, that's us, who are becoming liberated, well, Krishna conscious. Those with Aishvarya, we worship Krishna in opulence. Those with Madhurya, we worship Krishna in sweetness. And those in the Brahmajyoti, Aika vault, that means the liberation without a personal aspect. Those who are fond of the grandeur of the Lord during sadhana attain the same planet as the eternal associates of the Lord of Vaikuntha. In other words, if we're worshiping God as great, then we go to the Vaikuntha planets and we get to worship God as great eternally. Those who are fond of the Lord's sweetness during the sadhana, we see Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, Govardhan Hill and everything like that, enjoy the happiness of service in the eternal abode of Vrindavan, etc. after being liberated. Let's go there. Those who search for non-difference during sadhana, I just want to merge in the Lord, give everything up, attain extinction in the form of merging in Brahman or in attaining liberation. They don't actually merge in Brahman, but for all intents and purposes, they become unconscious, completely unconscious in Brahman, and they float around for a while, but ultimately they do pop out and they do search for either material enjoyment or something higher than Brahman realization. So with that in mind, we'll continue tomorrow. Hopefully, tomorrow's Sunday feast. I think we're going to be talking about the Chip Rice Festival tomorrow, because we're celebrating the Chip Rice Festival during the Sunday feast. But in any case, we'll end here and we will take some cuestionitos. That's not a Spanish word. It'd be preguntas would be the Spanish word for questions. Okay, so you know the drill. You could either type in the text window. Oh, tomorrow's Saturday. That's right. Okay, sorry. I thought it was the Sunday. I'm a day ahead of myself. So tomorrow we'll continue with the Jaiva Dharma. Sunday we'll do the Panihati Chip Rice Festival. So anyway, so we are ready. Okay, we got one question right now. How to get the association of pure devotees at the present time? Because devotees around us nowadays we see are struggling to attain the unalloyed state. in devotional service would overcome the bodily platform. Isn't reading Srila Prabhupada's book also means that we're getting Srila Prabhupada's association, or hearing devotees through lecture or online means we associate? Will this also give a yes? The answer, in a nutshell, is yes, ma'am. That you get the association of pure devotees by reading Prabhupada's books, or reading the books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or hearing Srila Prabhupada. Every morning, while I'm doing my deity worship, whenever possible, I listen to a class of Srila Prabhupada's, and it's so enlivening. I get Prabhupada's association, I get enlivened. He reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die without living still in sound. Okay, that's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. So that's the point. So by Chaitanya, you have a question.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev, Dandavat Pranam.
Haribol.
Gurudev, question is, what is the difference between the statements, say, in the Bhagavad Gita, the last instruction, as you say, is Sarva Dharma Parityaga. And, the Sarva Dharma is, saying that is giving up the ideas of goods, what is good and bad.
Yeah.
It's the surrender to Krishna. And then Krishna elsewhere is also talking about, but we must undertake our prescribed duties. So, how do we understand the difference?
Well, prescribed duties are what comes from Krishna. Sometimes our prescribed duties may be something that's imposed upon us by society, and that sort of prescribed duty is not surrendered to Krishna, whereas the prescribed duty is given by Krishna, such as in the Varnashram system, like taking care of your family is prescribed by Krishna, Chaturvarna Maya Srishnam Guna Karma Bhagasha. That you don't give up because that's surrender to Krishna. Surrender to Krishna means not just I say, I surrender to Krishna, I'm not going to do a damn thing. It means that I'm going to do what you want me to do, and you've actually elaborated on what you want me to do in other places in the Gita. Like Arjuna's prescribed duty was the fight for dharma. So Krishna's not telling him to give it up. Krishna's telling him to do what his prescribed duty is according to the Varnashram context, Varnashram Dharma complex. All right?
Yes, Gurudev. Thank you.
Okay. And so, Shri Radhika Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam.
Oh, good to see you. I'd like to go to visit you all, but you won't let me now.
You have a sense of humor for sure.
No, you prohibited me. You say too many other things happening. You're not permitted to visit our temple here. Too bad. Okay, so what's the question?
Maharaj, I'm wondering, there are offenses against the holy name, chanting the holy name. And I'm wondering if there are offenses also towards hearing. I find there's lots of stuff going on. I'm doing things and I'm hearing, or I may not always have, I may have doubts when I'm hearing. So I'm wondering, are there offenses against hearing as well?
Doubts are not offensive.
Yes.
But inattentive hearing is actually offensive.
So what about the hearing that we do, like where I'm cooking and I'm hearing your class?
That's nice. So just listen. Sometimes we're doing other things and we're listening to classes, because if you don't cook nicely, you'll be offending your family. Offending Vaishnavas. So one has to be practical in this world. I'm doing my deity service and listening to Prabhupada at the same time. So we do our best to hear, but inattentive chanting of the holy name, or inattentive when we're sitting in Bhagavatam class just trying to play with our mobile phones or something like that. Or wearing our earbuds during Bhagavatam class, so I see that. I see, especially mobile phones, electronic devices, people play during Bhagavatam classes, and it's, it's offensive while hearing. So, But you're cooking for Krishna and listening to a class. It's not that you're cooking for Krishna, you should turn all transcendental sound off so you don't commit an offense. That would be really counterproductive. So one has to be practical. One has to be practical. Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj, and we hope you'll come soon.
No, you said I can't come at least till November or December, so you prohibited me. So anyway, too bad. We know when we're not wanted. So anyways, I'm just joking. So, all right, so any other questions?
Please accept my humble obeisances.
Okay, Rakesh, so what's your question?
Can you please elaborate on the weakness of the heart, please?
Weakness of the heart, basically, I sort of explained that. It means just like, really just mainly being like influenced by the modes of ignorance and passion. And you just not really can't focus on anything. You don't want to focus on anything. You're spaced out. That's sort of like a weakness of the heart. And you just, or you just take any association. You let other association influence you. I'm just give you the practical explanation of weakness of the heart. So it means controlling your senses. I mean, being focused on some hopefully spiritual goal, but weakness of the heart, you're just like all over the place. It's just like influenced by bad association to do whatever that bad association is influencing you to do. The devil made you do it. Okay? Okay, so I think that's about it for time. The time factor, which is Krishna, has caught up with us. So thank you very much. We'll see everybody tomorrow, because tomorrow's only Saturday. That's right, today is Friday. Okay, so thank you. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C.